Hello friend, welcome back. Today's video is going to be an interview breakdown. I'm going to move pretty quickly through cameras, audio, lighting, the space, just give you guys as much information as I can quickly about how the shoot went, and then we're going to look at two specific products that I got sent recently. If you guys have any questions, please drop them down below and let's get into it. Okay, so as far as location, we were here in my studio. For the backdrop, we had the Savage 86-inch backdrop in the blue jean colorway. This was picked out by the client, their specific request. And so far, my studio has really been a lifesaver, as the alternate location that was suggested was incredibly small and would have been a real headache to make something look good. When it comes to cameras and lenses, A-cam, we had the Fuji X-H2S with the 18-35. I think we were around 28 mil, just as wide as we could, where none of the stands or lights were showing. And then on the B-cam with the Fujifilm X-T5 with the Tamron 17-70, set at about 50 millimeters. And we had no ND filters on this, as I was able to keep my shutter speed at 1/48 in camera and did not need any ND to get the exposure right. You guys will see here that I have a second monitor next to my camera, and I've been testing out the wireless transmitter from Shimbal. It's a really budget-friendly option. Overall, it works. The X-H2S cannot send a clean feed to it, so it is not my favorite. But here, I'm just hardwiring into the monitor, as I didn't need to run wireless and wanted to just have that stable connection during the interview. And I also had this teleprompter on standby, so you guys will see I just had this iPad here available if the client needed it. And we weren't doing a direct into camera interview, so there's no camera behind the teleprompter, but simply had it right in front of me as I was the one doing the interviewing. If they needed to glance at it or look at any specific phrase, I could simply set it up and it would look very similar to as if they were just looking right at me. And while we're on cameras, I want to talk about the tripod. This is one of the items that I was sent. Sirui sent me this, and this is very similar to the SmallRig Freeblazer tripod that I was previously sent and reviewed in depth on this channel. And I'm just going to give you guys the quick of it if you're interested in it. It's basically the Freeblazer, but with more attention to details, but it is a little bit more expensive. So I love that it has the one-step height adjustment, very similar to the Freeblazer, almost an identical design. This one came with a ground spreader, but it is sold with an optional mid spreader if you want to pick one up. I would say overall, the heads are vastly different. I think this one from Sirui gives you way more control with the pan and tilt dampening on the video head. They both feature an extendable handle, and I have mixed feelings about these extendable handles because the one on the Freeblazer actually broke on me just kind of from normal use. I didn't drop it, but it no longer extends, and I think I would just love one that is fixed, as I'm not often needing to adjust this back and forth. I like how low this tripod can get with the ground spreader. Does have a carry handle, which I think is most nice for raising the tripod up and down. When you do carry it from the carry handle, the legs kind of start to open, so that's not the primary use case for me when using this. But overall, I think the build quality feels super solid, and I'm really happy with this tripod. When it comes to cons, there's a few. As with the other tripods in this category, the tabs are going to release at different heights as you raise it. And so they're going to end up kind of midway down the tripod and not all even. And this is very similar to the SmallRig Freeblazer, and I think just comes with it as a budget option to something more refined like the Satchler, or even Sirui has a more well-designed one-stage tripod height adjustment. This one is just at a lot cheaper of a price point. The next minor con to me would just be the tabs that open and close the legs. You have to push them with your thumb rather than your palm. I'm very used to closing the ones on my tripod from SmallRig with the palm, and if you do that on this tripod, it's going to hurt. So I did it a few times and I did not understand why my palm was hurting so bad, and it's just the ergonomics of them. If you push them with your thumb, it works a lot better. It just took a little bit of kind of relearning. Price-wise, I think it's very reasonable. I think it scales with the Freeblazer. I think the Sirui is $500 when it comes out. The Freeblazer right now is $320 at the time of this video. And so in short, it's basically just very similar legs with a bunch of improved attention to detail. Build quality is better, and you have to decide if that's worth the extra $180. Okay, moving on to audio. The first boom was the Sennheiser MKE 600. It was running into the X-H2S directly using a long XLR and then an XLR to 1/8 inch. The second mic was a wireless boom mic from Comica. I'm actually using that in this video. It's kind of been a go-to as it was sent to me earlier this year, but this was really easy just to throw on the same stand. I'm gonna leave a link to the specific bracket I'm using to get two mics onto one stand if you guys are interested. But again, this was just running then to the receiver into the Fujifilm X-T5, and so I had two separate audio sources. Last little tip when it comes to audio, I like putting this moving blanket on the floor. Helps to prevent subjects from kind of tapping their feet on the floor or the chair making noise. Moving on to lighting, our key light was the Nanlite FS 300B. I think this is the best bang for buck key light out there. We have this running into the large Godox umbrella diffuser. This kind of gives you a book light, so it bounces off the back of the umbrella and then is diffused on its way back through. Really easy way to get really soft light. When it comes to the hair light, I was using the Nanlite Pavotube 15C, and this actually was in a pool noodle to give it a little bit extra diffusion. And the reason why I'm using a tube light in this scenario and not a traditional backlight is we were filming several interviews. Few of them were for females, and I find sometimes a harsh backlight on a female will make any like stray hairs really stand out a lot more. I think females are a lot more particular about that and have a lot longer hair than men. So in scenarios like this, when I'm going to be filming both with males and females, I really like using a tube light as it's really easy to boom out, but it gives you a lot softer of a light that kind of hits the shoulders as well as the hair. From there, I had some lights just filling in the background. On the right side of the frame, I had the Nanlite FS60B, kind of low to the floor, kind of bouncing off the wall, no reflector dish, just providing a little bit of fill on that side of the wall. And on the opposite side, I had a light from Zhiyun doing the exact same thing, just wanting to even out the exposure as the feel for this interview was kind of more of a clean look. And so this kind of filled in a little bit of those shadows on both my A cam and my B cam. Next light I was running was another Nanlite FS300B. This was in the Sirui projection mount, which I'm not even sure has been released yet. I was sent it a while ago, but not exactly sure if you can even buy it, but this is what is giving us the light streak on the back wall. I did this just to add a little bit of interest as it felt like the plain blue was just a little bit too boring. A couple final things you'll see is just some neg and some bounce. And so I actually had neg on the key light side. This was to stop the bounce off the wall from the little Nanlite FS60B. Some of this was hitting our subject and it was a lot harsher of a light than what was coming out of my key light. So place this kind of neg here just to block that off. It's just black fabric from a fabric store. And then on the opposite side, I felt like for this particular interview, I wanted a little bit of bounce. And this is just a piece of bleached muslin that I had from a fabric store lying around. It's just a little scrap, and I boomed this out on a stand and put this just out of frame, and it was giving our subject just a little bit of fill. And so really quick, let's just cycle through the lights one by one. So here is the key light only. And then here is our hair light. Here's adding both those fill lights on the side. And here's our background streak. And then here is finally adding the bounce for a little bit of fill light. Here's our key light off. And here's everything back on. The other product I wanted to mention was this toolkit from SmallRig and Andiax. They sent this to me to check it out. Essentially, it's a toolkit of kind of a lot of different things. It includes the box, dust blower, cleaning pen, microfiber cleaning cloth, stainless steel screw set, a memory card case, some black gaff tape, some very skinny colored gaff tape, some Allen wrenches, a flathead, one of their multi-tools, an HDMI cable, and then some Velcro cable ties. And so right off the bat, I think this product is probably not something that I would have gone out and purchased with my own money, as I already own a lot of these things. But I did do my own math, and there is approximately $100 worth of stuff inside, not including the cost of the case. And the retail price for this item is $100. So if you don't own any of this already, I think it's a good deal. If you want something as a backup or maybe to keep in your car, I also think it's a good deal. But for me personally, I already own a lot of these things from, different brands. And so probably wouldn't have opted to buy it all at once. Well, I think this is a really great idea. Really thankful they sent it to me. I usually opt for bags over hard cases due to their space savings. That's just a personal preference, but I'm going to show you guys how I would store this. So here's how I would store everything except the gaff tape. It fits in this smaller bag, but you definitely lose the organization if you went to go find one of the small tools. And so I thought this was a good opportunity to show you guys how I store gear similar to this for shoots that I'm going on. So I have this kind of miscellaneous bag with a bunch of smaller bags inside. The miscellaneous bag is a tool bag from Harbor Freight. The smaller bags I bought on Amazon. In here, I just keep a ton of things that I need on a lot of different shoots. A lot of different cables, an entire case full of different screws. I have a whole other one that's tools, kind of small screwdrivers, pliers, anything that I might need on set goes in this bag. And then this other bag is kind of my grip bag. This is a larger bag from Harbor Freight. In this, I keep things like gaff tape. I keep larger clamps, some smaller spring clamps, kind of anything that I'm needing to grab quickly on a shoot that's kind of related to rigging, grip, it all goes in this bag. So when it comes to this toolkit from SmallRig, super thankful they sent it over. I think it's probably a good idea for someone if they want kind of a backup set. I'm personally going to be taking the items out of the case and adding them to my kits like you see here, adding them to kind of the bag structure that I have. I'm going to save the case for something else that I need to keep track of or really needs the protection. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you found this video helpful. As always, please drop any questions down below. I love to be a resource to you guys, answer questions, and kind of get more in depth on anything I glossed over. So please let me know down below, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.